What's up, everybody? This is Brody from Retrolanders, and we're going to talk about the PlayStation 2 today. Just going to have the camera. I'm just going to go through my PlayStation 2 games because I think a lot of people truly underestimate and don't fully grasp just how dense of a fucking library this thing has. Like, it is absolutely insane how many games were released on this console, how many exclusives it has, and the quality of games that were coming out then. Of course, there's a lot of shovelware. You can say that about any console, especially something that is so popular like the PS2 and the Wii and the Game Boy Advance, the DS. Like, all of those consoles have shovelware on them just because of how many units they sold, and that's just more enticing for developers to get out there and start releasing stuff. So let's go through the game list. All right, so we've got 24 the game. This is actually a pretty decent third-person shooter, like a cover-based shooter. It's based on the show. It's got Kiefer Sutherland as the voice actor. A lot of people would overlook this, and it's actually very, very cheap too. So if you find it, pick it up. We've got the Ace Combat series. That's Ace Combat 4 and 5. Yeah, pretty typical, just jet flying games, but awesome. We've got a couple Armored Core games, 2 and 2 Another Age. Really awesome game on the PS1 that got a really good sequel. And then we have the Art of Fighting Anthology. This is a mixture of fighting games from SNK. I mean, this is more of a compilation, but this didn't come out on anything else as far as I know. So definitely worth having. I think I got it for like $10. All right, and then we have the 4 ATV Off-Road Fury games. These are hella fun. I still play these a lot to this day. Bloody Roar 4, that's a really good fighting game. The Bouncer, I think this was in the launch era or a launch title for the PS4. It's kind of a beat 'em up brawler from Squaresoft. I didn't really think I was going to like it at first, but I quite enjoyed it. Then we've got the Champions of Norath games. These are kind of like Baldur's Gate. I think they're actually built on the same engine as Baldur's Gate. Really good like couch co-op experience if you have a buddy that you want to play a game like over a prolonged period of time with. You can always go for like Diablo 3, but I think that game's a fucking mess to look at. There's just so much shit happening on screen. This is more of your old school type of experience, and it's really good co-op. And there's 2 of them. All right. We've got Chaos Legion. This is kind of like a poor man's Devil May Cry. It's not like the best game, but it's interesting. It's got a level up system, and I don't know, it's not bad. All right, and then Clock Tower 3. This is a really good survival horror game, kind of like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. And then we've got Dawn of Mana. This is part of the Mana series, like Secret of Mana and Legend of Mana and things like that. More of an action RPG. Awesome. And then Deus Ex, The Conspiracy. I think this is just Deus Ex that was released on PC. I'm not even sure, actually. I've got this game recently. I'm not sure if it's a sequel or if it's like a remake. But whatever, Deus Ex, I know a lot of people love that. Devil May Cry 3. I don't have 1 and 2 because I actually... I picked this up just because it was cheap. I own the HD collection on PS3. But this is a really good game. Absolutely awesome. We've got a couple of the Dot Hat games. There's a few more. A couple of them are really expensive titles as well. I think it's a Dot Hat Quarantine. But these are like offline MMOs. And it's kind of neat because you'll get like emails from other players that are not players. It's kind of cool. All right, I've got a couple of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games. I know these were released on the GameCube, and I kind of have this thing where I'll buy a GameCube game if it was released on just those 2 platforms. I'll go ahead and get the GameCube version because I have so many PS2 exclusives, and I get all the other multi-plats on the Xbox. That's what's funny is like most of these Xbox games are also on the PS2. I'm just not even really showing them. These are all just like 99% exclusive. But yeah, 1 and 2 I think are on the GameCube. But then Budokai Tenkaichi series was just on the PS2 and also the Wii. But fuck the Wii. It's an F tier console, in my opinion, because of that fucking motion controller. I know some people love it. They grew up with it. I never did. The Wii was always just kind of this gimmick thing to me. I might change my mind one day, but that's a different video. We've got Dragon Ball Z Infinite World, which this is pretty much Dragon Ball Z Budokai 4. It came out, I think, 2008, like way late into the PS2's life. I mean, this console had more legs than it's like the Game Boy of home consoles because it just did not die. Then we've got Dragon Quest 8. I think you can play this on the 3DS now. I think they remastered it. Really good game. Another great RPG. I actually started typing out a response post because I had seen some people say this, I was getting so worn out typing the games. I'm like, I'm just going to go and film what I have. We've got the Drakengard games. These are kind of like a mixture of like a Dynasty Warriors with an action RPG, and then there's even levels where you like fly a dragon. Kind of neat. I've only played through the first one. I haven't played through the second one. I got this one recently. Dynasty Tactics. This is just a tactical RPG. I mean, nothing really crazy to write home about, but if you like that kind of gameplay, it's pretty straightforward. We've got Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus. And this is kind of like an unofficial, or it is an official sequel to Final Fantasy VII, but you play as Vincent Valentine, and it's more of like a third-person shooter. Yeah, pretty decent game, but I mean, it's Final Fantasy series, and it's pretty cool. I like it. And then speaking of Final Fantasy, we've got 10, 10-2. These are remastered on PS3 and PS4 and Vita. Final Fantasy 11, which also came out on PC. And then Final Fantasy 12, which recently got the remaster treatment as well. This is probably my favorite Final Fantasy game on the PS2. I absolutely love this game so much. All right. Frogger the Great Quest. Just a platformer. I mean, I think I found this at Half Price Books the other day, and I really only got it because it was an exclusive. I don't think I've really played it. Could be shitty, but, it looks kind of fun. I like these kind of games a lot from this era. We've got 2 of the Full Metal Alchemist games. I think there's a third one. These are action RPGs based on the series. Futurama. Now, this is a multi-plat, and I'm kind of breaking my rule. I usually try to get the multi-plats on the Xbox because they look a little better. But I found this for a good deal, and this is definitely my most expensive, rarest PS2 game that I own. And I got it for a good deal, so I couldn't really pass up on that. We've got Galactic Wrestling. This is a wrestling game built on the same engine as the really badass wrestling games from the N64, like WCW versus NWO and all that good stuff. Same engine, it plays just like it. It just doesn't have the license. Then we have this really cool, like horror-themed shooter game called Ghost Hunter. It's like a third-person survival horror action game. Got a lot of personality to it. This game's kind of rare as well. And then we've got Ghost in the Shell, which is based on the anime. This is a third-person shooter. I was pleasantly surprised by this. And I think hopefully you're noticing a trend that pretty much any kind of video game that's based on an anime property, for some reason, those kind of games were just hitting on all cylinders during the PS2. And they only came to the PS2. So that's why it's got such a good library. Grandia 3, it's an RPG. 1 and 2, I think, were on the Dreamcast. And then I think 2 was on the PS1. Gran Turismo 3 and 4, everyone knows what those are. Those are pretty... I think these are like the best-selling exclusives on the console. We got the Growlancer series. I just have one of the games. There's several of them. They're kind of like tactical RPGs. They're very Japanese. And then we've got, what is this? Gun Griffin Blaze. It's like a mech game, pretty badass. And then we have a few Guilty Gear. These are really awesome 2D fighters. You talk about beautiful 2D animations and artwork. Absolutely awesome games. All right, and then we got Heroes of Might and Magic, and this one gets overlooked a lot because it's got kind of a cheapy looking cover, and it's a 3DO published game, but it's actually a pretty cool little tactical RPG. Seems pretty difficult. I didn't really get far without dying before I could save. Then we've got the Hot Shots Golf series, and then tennis as well. And then Iridium Runners. This is a racing game, but you're like really fast runners, and it's set in this like futuristic space world. It's awesome. All right, and then there is, what is this? Oh yeah, Jack X Combat Racing. So I don't own the Jack and Daxter games on PS2. There's 3 of them. Well, 4 if you count the racing game, but that's because I have the remaster version on PS3. All right, and then we've got Jet X2O. This is a sequel to the Jet Moto series. I've always loved the cover on this game. Pretty decent racing game. It's kind of hard to fuck up a racing game. And then we've got the original Killzone. Awesome first-person shooter. Probably one of the best ones on the console. And notice I haven't really shown any FPS games up until now. It's all been action RPGs, fighting games, and like 3D action games. All right, and then of course everyone's favorite Kingdom Hearts series, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and then I have Madden '07, which I just couldn't get rid of this one. I played this game a lot in high school, and I ran the franchise mode for like 20 seasons on one team. I just couldn't get rid of it. Like, I put too much time on this game to get rid of it. And I know it's lame. Like, oh, you're a fucking retro game collector and you spend all this time playing Madden. Well, you know what? I'm having fun, so fuck it. Then we got the Manhunt games. These are like survival horror made by Rockstar. I wish they would make a Manhunt 3. That would be so crazy. I don't know if they could get away with a lot of shit, though. Mark of the Kree. This is a really cool, like, ninja, like 3D action platformer. Really awesome game, and there's a sequel that we'll get to here in a second. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now, I know the Dreamcast version's probably the preferred version for most people, but I don't really see or feel much difference when I play, because I've my buddy has the Dreamcast version and I have this one, so I mean it's the same fucking game to me. Yes, the Maximo series. These are hidden gems, maybe slightly hidden, because they were a lot of people talk about them. This is a follow-up to the Ghosts and Goblins series. This is it's a 3D action platformer, kind of like a Ratchet and Clank or a Spyro, but it's very difficult and it's really fucking awesome. I love this game so much. All right, so that's, I guess, 3 shelves, and we've got a couple more still. So bear with me. I know the video's getting long. Mega Man Anniversary Collection. This was a multi-plat. I think this is on GameCube and everything. It's just one of those, there's a few games on the shelf that kind of break that exclusive rule just because fuck it, right? Mega Man X7. Not the most well-received Mega Man game, but it's fucking Mega Man, and therefore I have to have it. Don't have X8, though. Metal Slug 4 and Metal Slug 5. I want to say this is on the Xbox, too. But the reason why I went ahead and got this one is because, well, I found it for a good deal, and I have the arcade sticks for the PS2, which is a lot of fun to play Metal Slug on the arcade sticks. And then we get to Mr. Mosquito. This is a very weird, kind of a one-of-a-kind game. As you can see, it's a little pricey. But you basically play as a mosquito and ride around, fly around these people's house and suck their blood. I mean, it's fucking weird. We got one of the Naruto games, back when it was still just an exclusive. We've got the first Onimusha, which I don't think the fixed camera angle style ages well, but it's a cool game nonetheless. And then we've got the Rise of the Kasai. This is the sequel to that Mark of the Kree game I was telling you about. And then with Risk Domination. This is, I just love playing board games on console, especially Risk and Monopoly, because you don't have to keep up with all the pieces and everything. And you just get to enjoy the game. Risk has been released on all kinds of stuff, but I think this version is just on the PS2. All right. Rogue Galaxy. This is an RPG. Published by Sony. You can actually get this on the PS4 now. Let's see. Okay, Radiata Stories. This is an RPG by Square Enix. We've got R-Type Final, which is a shoot 'em up. And then Silent Hill 3. I think Silent Hill 2 is also on the PS2. But I've heard that remaster isn't good, so I went ahead and just said, okay, I'll try to get these two on the original. Smuggler's Run. This is a Rockstar game. Kind of like a car combat. Then we've got the SOCOM series. Now, I loved the SOCOM games, especially 2. That was my first real online experience I had, other than just playing Counter-Strike at friends' houses. But on my own, at my house, SOCOM 2 was I was in it, my dad was into it, my brother, that was our game. Moving on, we've got Soul Calibur 3, which I don't think ever came out on anything else but the PS2. Maybe it came to arcades or something, but this one didn't come out on the Xbox or anything. And we've got Star Ocean, Till the End of Time, RPG. I hope y'all are noticing a trend of what these exclusives are. And then Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2, those aren't exclusives, but this is kind of falls into that sort of sentimental category that Madden does. I just couldn't get rid of these two. I played these two games a shitload. Love those games. Suikoden 3, this is a follow-up to the Suikoden 1 and 2 on the PS1. Super Dragon Ball Z, which is another Dragon Ball Z fighting game. Siphon Filter, we've got 2 Siphon Filter games here. These are more of your third-person shooters. Tales of the Abyss, this is another RPG. JRPG. So I mean, if you like JRPGs, the PS2 is probably the best console for that. And then it's probably just right underneath it is PS1 and PSP. I mean, really, all PlayStation consoles are great for it, but I think the PS2 just has the sheer volume of quality, and there's all kinds of other genres on it too. Tekken Tag Tournament, fighting game. We've got the Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. This is a stealth game that From Software made a couple versions of. I don't know, did they make this one? I don't even see their logo on it. Yeah, they probably did. Time Crisis 2 and 3. Those are really good. You have to have a CRT in order to use it, though. You got to have a CRT and the gun cons. But those are just like the arcade ports. Unlimited Saga is an RPG by Square Enix. So, and then we've got Virtua Fighter 4, which is a fighting game. It was that fighting series started on the Sega Saturn. War of the Monsters. I think this one's available on PS4 now, but this is a really cool fighting game. You play as like Godzilla and King Kong, and you just fight. It's freaking awesome. Warriors of Might and Magic. This is an action RPG that I did not like too much at first, but for some reason it just kind of grew on me the more I played it. And it is an exclusive. And then we have Wild Arms Ultra Code F. This is a remake of the original Wild Arms that was released on PS1, an RPG. And then we've got World Heroes Anthology. This is another SNK compilation. This has got all kinds of stuff on it. World Heroes. Not too many people talk about these games, but it's cool to have it in a collection. And then lastly, we've got the 3 Xenosaga games. These are very, very dense JRPGs. So, yeah, that is the PS2 exclusive collection I have. I used to have more exclusives, but I'm not really a completionist. I like to own games that I would want to play. So a lot of PS2 exclusives I did buy and tried out and didn't really like. So that's, I mean, I'm pretty much showing you all like good quality games here. You know, this is all subjective. This is my opinion, but yeah, I mean, the PS2 library, it's just exclusives alone is a fucking rabbit hole. So, and it's not even counting all the Xbox games here that you can also get on PS2. But you know, I like playing on the Xbox, like the Lord of the Rings games. Enter the Matrix. I need to get rid of that shit. But all right, guys, thanks for watching.